Hey Pusnet, no, it's not Halloween, but it's a video on infection prevention. And basically what I'm wearing is a little bit of a thing that can help you, and I wanted to talk a little bit about infection prevention. And it will be a three-part series because there's kind of three kind of level of prevention. And so I just wanted to show you the costume that we're going to talk about right now on this one. And as you can see, basically all it is dollar store poncho. Actually, you can even see that. And plastic bags. And this thing's actually, I always carry one also in my jackets and things like that, because they make, like, you know, good, they're always good to have, like, in case you need to, in a pinch, you need to do a little shelter or something like this. But right now, yeah, so I'm wearing this thing, and let's talk about contact isolation. So, like I was saying, there's kind of three kinds of infection prevention. Well, three kinds of infectious disease. I will put as well a link down of different. I won't go through all the products and stuff. I'll mention some of them, and sometimes I'll use some of the words, but I'll put some links for definitions. And the reason that I'm doing this video and this kind of twist that I'm doing it is that a lot of people on YouTube sometimes talks about influenza or things like that and everything, and they talk about the disease itself, but not so much the prevention of it or even the different things. And they use words sometimes that means different things, and yet they kind of mix them all to. It's like I'm doing kung fu. Mix them all together. So I want to talk about those kind of different. Mostly, I'll put like a definition on there. So the first thing to know, like I was saying, there's three categories. The first one is contact. So contact isolation. So infectious disease. And I'll put also a little link of a YouTube video that is going to be a pretty cool, and it goes well with contact, because this is pretty much what contact isolation is, and it's one of my favorite TV shows, Microbes, and you'll see what it is. And so, not every disease is infectious. So that meaning that it's not every disease that you can catch from somebody else, and even some of them are more contagious. So that means that in the contagions, that means that I can transmit it to someone else. And we're gonna start with contact because so the first one will be contact, the second one will be droplets, and the third one will be airborne. And each of those categories goes from contact being the less the more difficult to spread, to airborne, which is the most easy to spread. And I always kind of take kind of the same example of me with 4 or 5 people around me. So you can just imagine, okay, there's me and there's 4 or 5 people in front of me. So right from the get-go, there's some disease, for example, hepatitis A and B and things like that, that in any first aid course, if you ever did a first aid course or CPR course, they're always going to tell you, wear a glove, and if you're doing mouth-to-mouth, protect yourself. Those diseases are kind of per contact, but they're not, what they are basically is what we call they're the universal precautions. So that means anytime that you have to work with biological fluids, so saliva, stool, anything that comes out of our body, blood or anything like this, you always wear those. So always wear gloves, always wear glove, and then when you take off your gloves, you clean your hands. And if you're about to, for example, if you do mouth to mouth, that's why you use a pocket mask or something like this, is to protect yourself from getting in contact. And those are called universal precaution because they're used all the time. So every time, for example, if I go take a blood pressure of someone in the hospital and they don't even have any blood or any fluids or anything, but I just touch them, I need to clean my hands right after. So I'm supposed to clean my hands before I do a procedure and after I do the procedures. And then different degree of soil. So I mean, if, for example, if I'm going to change the dressings on someone, so when I'm going to get to the dressing, we'll talk maybe a little bit about that. But if I'm changing a dressing on someone that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that came out of it, then I need to clean my hands, not just with alcohol, but full soap and cleaning my hands. Which brings us to the subject of alcohol versus cleaning your hands with soap. And 99% of the time, this is great stuff. This kills almost everything. And if you truly look, and I'll put probably YouTube's YouTube links and stuff like this on how to clean your hands. And we're talking about a procedure that takes up to almost like 30 seconds. Because it's not so much the soap. Because what the soap does, it's just kind of breaks down the particles or the grease or that is in your... But it's really the mechanical structures of cleaning your hands, and you're supposed to go and everywhere. And as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of fold and stuff like that, that bacteria or little stuff can go into your hands. With this things, you put that on about 5 or 10 seconds and boom, you just, you know, clean your hands very well, like pretty much like this, and your hand. And plus, the advantage of this in the wilderness, especially in cold weathers, is that your hands are not wet. And so this is a great thing. Another thing for a survival use versus a soap is this thing can be used for like fire starting, things like that. Another thing as well, not so much the foamy one, so be careful of the ones, because some of them are like a cream, and as you can, hopefully you'll be able to see this. Let's see if you can see, but you see this one is more like a foam. So as you can see, pretty much just, I just clean my hands. So it dries very well, but the foam is harder to clean, for example, instruments and things like that. Because alcohol is great as well for this. So this is good for intact skin. And when we do talk about the wound care as well, we'll talk about why not use like alcohol swabs and things like that. The alcohol swab, when I did mine on first aid kit, I said I use it for my instrument. But if you have, for example, a bottle of this with the cream, you can use it to clean your instrument as well. So basically it has multiple purpose. But the foamy one can still work, but it's harder because it's a foam. But it's great to clean your hands though. To start fire as well, I tried a few times. And the foam also harder to kind of take apart versus the gel kind of like. So yeah. So this is just clean your hands. So contact, as you saw, I was wearing like this big system. So basically, anything that you have a disease that could be spread is usually by contact, meaning that somehow the thing will stay, for example, on the skin, or it will stay in the sheets or on the clothes or something. And then what happens is that you touch it, it gets on your hands, and it can survive outside the body for a very long period of time, sometime up to like 48 hours, depending of like what we're talking about and stuff like this. I'm just trying to be general here. So so it can live on the body very long, and that's why we want to have contact isolation. So if you have someone on contact isolation, that's the thing. So if you touch it, goes on your stuff, and then next thing you know, you're scratching your nose, or you're eating, or you scratch your eyes. So what you want is to prevent this little bug to be able to touch you. So the first place, obviously, is wear gloves. So always the hands and things like that. The second place is your eyes. So as you can see, most of my glasses, and those used to be my old work glasses. My other ones now are even better than that. But as you can see, a lot of glasses don't have that protection kind of over here. But as you can see, it's very hard for stuff to get in there. So if you're wearing like glasses like this, and it can go below, so then you have to wear the big safety glasses. And actually, always good to wear this big safety glasses. It's just at one point it gets very foggy and everything. So that's why I wear like my special glasses, because they're more protected all over the place. You don't need a mask, especially if you're cleaning your hands. And you need the gown. And the reason for the gown is that, for example, if I'm going to touch someone, it's going to get on my clothes, and then I scratch myself or something, and then it goes. So, place where stuff can go in is through the mouth, the eyes, as well as if I have a wound. So, for example, if any broke of the skin, things can get in that way through your body and then get to your bloodstream, and then you get an infection. Or also, if you have if you go to the washroom. So for example, if somebody has C. diff, Clostridium difficile, which is a big problem sometime in hospitals, and they have diarrhea, on the toilet bowl, those little spores are protected and can stay on the bathroom, and then if you sit, it goes back up, and now you're infected with it, and so that's why it can be very easily spread out. So if you're gonna, for example, if you have someone in the house that has like diarrhea or whatever, isolated a washroom, or if they get out, they always have to clean it. So now, what do I clean it with? If you want to prepare for preparedness, so in case like Katrina and things like that, the best thing that you could have is the Javel chlorine. The reason for chlorine is because you can disinfect your water with this. You can very dilute it though. You can create some solution as well that you can use on the skin, and as well as you can use it as wiping and cleaning pretty much everything. It will kill most bacteria. So if you have, for example, a liter of that stuff, now you can do multi-purpose, and we're always looking for multi-purpose. Don't need the mask, like I was saying, but you want to clean your surface of everything you do. So basically what you're trying to do, in the hospital we have multi-different gowns and everything, not multi-different gowns, but that means we have like a big pile of gowns, because every time we go in the room we have to undress and dress and take the gowns down. But that's why with this solution, that means that if you have one person in the house that has this contamination, if you isolate them and close them in a certain room, or limit a certain part of the house, or the tent, or whatever you are in your situation, then you can just reuse the same thing. But it's just that you have to be careful when you put it. That, for example, if this is the outside, and this is what it's in contact with the person, then I don't end up putting this on me, because then I just erase the whole reason of why putting this. You can reuse it, but again, you just have to be careful. You cannot use it for different people. You can reuse it for the same person, but also you have to be careful about making sure there's no holes in it. And when if you reuse it, to always use it the same way. So for example, if I take it out, I can put it outside, so that every time I go in, the clean side is facing me, and the dirty side is facing the person that I'm taking care of. So this was contact isolation. So just look at the links below, and I'll have a little bit more information, and then we're going to go to droplets.